me, AIESEC is just this place where I went and I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of great people, but we were also put in a position where we are there for each other. Where impact of what we do is not just, translated into, like, we look at impact from different ways, and that's AIESEC. AIESEC is not looking at impact purely on a financial basis or a quantitative basis, but also it's the soft things, it's the qualitative stuff. It's how we relate with each other, how we approach a day. Where did the journey start? I say KU literally started in a church, if we're being honest, right? The Sunday before I joined university, I went to church with my mom. And in church, my mom was like, yeah, Reuben is going to Campo tomorrow. And my auntie asked, oh, you're going to university? Yeah, which university? KU. Oh, nice. Make sure when you get there, you join AIESEC. Because your cousin who's in Australia right now, yeah, that's how she got there, right? And so, find AIESEC, join AIESEC, be a part of AIESEC, and I'm sure good things will happen. I always looked up to this lady. I think now it's been a while, but last I checked, she was a senior partner at KPMG. That's besides the point. So I go to the next day, Monday. Yeah, we go to Campo. We report to Campo. And as we're driving from the gate to that place where people register, this is 1999. There was a lot of stuff around HIV and AIDS, and so my mom was with me. And so my mom, literally her strategy for me and my university life was fear. So between the gate and the registration place, she probably pointed out about 50 people who had AIDS. Murage, that person, me, I think. And that, I don't work very well with fear, right? I mean, if everyone has AIDS here, then what am I doing here, right? But then I remembered, my auntie said, join AIESEC. So we finished registration. I got my room. By sheer coincidence, where the office is now, where the office is now, by sheer coincidence, I'm walking past and I see something written AIESEC office. And so a few weeks later, I go and I find out this office has not been open for at least 15 years. If you guys are too young to know, there's a radio personality who now is also in marketing, and I think I've seen Mo here. Mo would know. Dennis Ndavi. So Dennis did the first stint of AIESEC in Kenyatta University, and then moved to do his things. At the time he was working at Capital FM, he had a show there as well. And then Capital FM is at Londro House, and KPMG office is also at Londro House. So my cousin was also over to visit. So I had the opportunity of meeting Dennis and Wanjiro at the same time, and telling them, yeah, I've gone to KU, there is no AIESEC, it's not been there for 16 years, what do I do? And so we made a plan, and the plan was, from here, you walk to, they gave me lunch money, by the way, walk to main campus, go to the national office, tell them what the plan is, and then they'll direct you. So we do that. Then I was also doing CPAs and stuff. So my life was basically KU, we finish classes, Madaraka, Strath, then I go back to Campo in the evening. So what the AIESEC Kenya guy said was, go for a few meetings in AIESEC Choir, see if you like it. And then for a few meetings, and I think 2 weeks later, there was a conference in Masinga. So charity begins at home. So I start with the guys I know. So I call my boys and my girls. And 6 of us gathered and went to Masinga. 7 of us gathered and went to Masinga. 1 of us said, "This is nonsense. I can't be dancing in front of people. I don't know what you guys are talking about, saving the world. I'm going to do something else." And that's fine. He's now a big boy at PwC. But everyone, this thing, it's not for everyone. It's like sushi. And so, went to, did Campo. So then that became my life. My life became trying to coordinate these 6 guys. I have a picture of, I'll send you Teresa. I have a picture of the 6 of us. It was the first picture we took. And these 6 guys trying to help them understand. That's actually a very wrong statement. We are trying to help each other understand what the hell AIESEC is. I just happened to be the guy who came with the initial information, right? And that was the journey that we went on. It was such a beautiful thing, especially now when you look at it in retrospect, that you got 6 guys who have no idea what they're doing, but they know that if they do it together, they're in a better position, right, to crack this thing. And so, personally, that was my life. My life was KU, Strath, Gatho, back to KU. That went on for maybe a year and a half. Someone asked me the other day, how come you are president for 3 years? It's because, again, there's some dictatorship there, but at the end of the day, we didn't know what we were doing enough to hand over to anyone else. So blind people don't lead blind. But we had a lot of help. AIESEC choir, if you need to give presents from retrospect, they really did a job, right? And when I say they, AIESEC is the people, because you can have AIESEC KU with, right now I'm seeing 31 people on screen. But if you all gather to do nonsense, it's going to be a nonsense association. But if you gather and say, all right, everyone calls me Ange, by the way. Say, Ange, you deal with the national office. Eric, you deal with the money, right? Maggie, you deal with incoming exchange, outgoing exchange, Juliet, ER, Doris. Deal with those things. At which point you don't know what an incoming exchange is, you don't know what an outgoing exchange is, you don't know where money comes from or goes, you have no idea. So we started by assigning each other situations like, this is what you're going to find out. And our first initiative, I don't know if Mo was around by then. We needed money to kind of announce ourselves as KUs in the AIESEC world. And so we did that charity work from KU, Loiro, and back, and were given some tunes by the university. The story being, we had money for the first time. When I say money, I mean 12K, right? Which we took to a children's home, New Hope Children's Home, if I remember correctly. So that's how we announced ourselves to the AIESEC world, right? So there's that teamwork thing, the segregation of duties, and then how do you announce yourself in a particular situation, right? And so the journey within KU, it just became something we wanted to do as opposed to something we had to do. And I remember the first time we got the bus from the university to go for a conference. It was a big thing, man. I went to the VC's office and we spoke about AIESEC, and he told me he knew about it, Professor Eshiwani, God rest his soul. And he gave us a bus. And, for people like UON, they cough, they get a bus. They cough, they get money. We were not in the same world, right? And through later life, it taught me a lot about which lane I'm on, which lane I aspire to be, and what I need to do to change lanes. You just don't change lanes just like that. The things you need to do to change lanes, right? So for us to get a bus, for guys who have buses all the time, money all the time, they used to have their board meetings in the UN boardroom, Those things were not kosher for us. And so how to change lanes needs some work. It needs some discipline. It needs some ambition, right? And ambition that we had in droves. And you guys are young, right? Life is still defining itself. You're still at a place where, you could be doing zoology or botany, zoology, and then you'll end up doing humanitarian work, consultancy. I don't know. Life is still shaping itself for you guys. So ambition does drive someone. And the thing with ambition is you can have ambition based on what you know. That's now me as a young man, I was ambitious, I guess. But me as an old man, what life has taught me is that there's way more that I don't know than what I will ever know. Right now, as we speak, until the day I die, the things I will know, right now as we speak, there's way too much I don't know. Right? And so life also teaches you to be humble, to find out, because you can't have all the information. So if you're ambitious in your little cocoon of a brain, and you can only regurgitate what you know. So if you came from Moranga, where they grow pears, right? And your ambition told you, when I grow up, I want to have pear trees. Fine, have 35 acres of pear trees. But then if you talk to someone else, you'll find out pears can actually be made into juice, into cider, and then your ambition grows. But that's what AIESEC is. AIESEC is, for me, that platform that brings people from such different backgrounds together and tells them there are possibilities if you look at it this way. The same thing, the exact same thing, but there are possibilities if you look at it from this angle, right? And that's it. That kind of brings a segue into the second part of my AIESEC journey, which was going to Ghana. So I won't bore you with a story, but I'll use 30 seconds to say you're Africans. Never forget that. When we were in AIESEC, there was a conference in Canada. This IC where you're going, Patrice, it was in Canada. And in Canada, they said, we're going to give 6 Africans visas to come for this conference in an association that I think had, for 12 countries, 12 by 6, that's 72 people, right? 72 MCs, you said 6 people will go. Long story short is that we didn't go. And when the guys went to Canada, they said, this is rubbish. How can there be every European country is represented, every Asian country is represented, but Africa is not represented because you think we'll come and run away, right? And so you're stingy with your visas. The words I'm not going to use in this forum because you guys are young. But that notwithstanding, what happened is the chair of AIESEC Africa, sitting in Rotterdam, he really went and made a lot of noise. And we got some funding to bring the output of International Congress in Canada to Ghana. That's the first time I got on a plane to fly outside the borders of our country. So I go to Ghana, and I think the segue that brought us here was looking at the same thing from different angles. I go to Ghana, I'm really happy, out of the country, blah, blah, blah. Long story, which I'll give you one day, of how no one was there to pick me up. I stayed at the hotel of the brother of the guy of the taxi who had picked. It was rubbish. But man, my book is more interesting. Do you know what I mean? I had side A of the DVD of John Q. And because now I don't know where I am. I just watched that side A of that DVD. Do you guys know what a DVD is? I'm joking, but that's the point, like watch that side A the whole night. T-shirts I start again because I can't sleep, right? But anyway, we get to this thing. The Africa chair is there. The president of AIESEC in South Africa is there. I'm there because my president Trixie had gone to Canada. Was one of the 6. I'm there. Who else? Let's take those 2 guys. South African president, chair of AIESEC Africa, who's a Nigerian guy, and myself. And I remember one time we were sitting down, just having a chat. It was 2002, and we were having our elections. I think most of you are like a year old. My God. Anyway, this was the first election that M1 introduced Uhuru as a young boy to say, I want this guy to be the president. The reason I bring that is not to bring politics into this, but just to say, Kene, the Nigerian, asks me, Murage, tell me, Uhuru is the son of the first president here, and so Moi wants him to check in. What's Moi's strategic benefit in Uhuru being president? And then Julian, this white South African, is like, because are these dynasties running the country, or because I'm trying to understand. So I don't even know where to start, because let's start from this. At that time, as a Kenyan, I didn't care. For what? How is that knowledge going to help my life? Secondly, I'm talking to 2 guys from different countries who are telling me about politics in my own country. And then I ask myself one question. Who is the president of the country I'm in right now? I didn't know, and I didn't care. And that woke me up. Like, yo, you can't live in a cocoon, right? There's a world out there that you have to pay attention to, right? Because especially now in the world you guys live in, I come from a very different world, but that's also because things are moving faster than anticipated. What happens to me in Amsterdam right now will affect you maybe by the end of the week, if it's significant enough, right? And so you can't live in a cocoon of, whatever, it doesn't affect me. And so that woke me up, and I went on this thing of, I just want to know more about Africa. And in Ghana, we did good work. I had so much fun. The only thing took me more time to adjust to was the food. Because, I thought I'm in Africa, I'll eat what they eat, but they don't eat what we eat. It takes time, It takes time for a Kenyan to understand you don't chew fufu. You just swallow it. It takes time for a Kenyan to understand okra stew is a food, not a prop from a horror movie, And so those things take time, and you keep understanding that adjustment. It requires some willingness from some deep place within. And so that was Ghana. So let me tell you about Ghana. So Ghana, I fly back to Kenya, and I'm there with my boy outside the MC office, and I tell him, yo, Alvin, who's the president of Ghana? All right, who's the president of Uganda? We know that, because he's not changed even since when we were at Campo. Who's the president of TZ? I think it was Jakaya Kikwete at the time. We had no idea of anyone outside M7, right? With certainty. M7 and Mugabe. You see what I'm saying? For a world that's changing so fast, it can't take me 20 years. Because your name has been mentioned for 20 years and I remember, oh, that's it. No, things are moving too fast, right? And so that challenge woke him up as well. And we decided to go to Ghana for our MC terms. The next MC terms. So we flew, lived there for a year, and it was a good year. I won't bore you with the stories. But I'll tell you something about the unknown. Ghana was not an unknown to me. I'd been there, right? An unknown is like telling a guy, go to Mandera University and start an LC there, which is essentially what happened to me. Alvin just gave me some money. He was the president, I was VP people. We had this whole strategy, Kumasi, Cape Town, Accra, how many universities to do, AIESEC chapters. He gave me chums. We woke up at 4 in the morning, we had the bus rank at 4:40. Gave me chums, gave me a hug and said, come back with a chapter. The guy, cool, man. 6 hours later, I get to Kumasi, and one thing led to another, right? You know, you're young, but from joints to invitations to a bar to going to the international students, boom, something happens. And I left there was a chapter, and the next conference we had 5 universities come. Anyone who watches football, there's a game Liverpool played Barcelona and beat them 4-0 in Liverpool. That's not the point, I'm getting to the point. And when Jose Mourinho was being asked, dude, how did they do that? They said, it's not tactics. It's not strategy, it's heart. It's heart, like these boys went there to show their hearts. And for me, something that I've seen in AIESEC and through life is that if you put your heart into something, the universe will conspire to help you achieve it. Always. Right? But you have to be in, ndani. How do you just move a guy from Accra, drive him 6 hours, and he comes back with a chapter? I'm not that clever, right? I'm not that convincing. But God knew that somehow these 2 boys, they're willing to do something different, right? And so I'm reminded of, and I'll just spend maybe a second to preach a bit, Abrahamic stories. Abrahamic stories of living what you know, what you're comfortable with, and just having the faith that wherever I go, as long as I'm willing and I'm purposeful, God or the universe will figure me out, right? And so that was Ghana for us. And after Ghana, I did some time in South Africa, I did some time in Mozambique. Mozambique was interesting, because Mozambique was we got 14 guys from around the world to go and, to go and start up a college of ecotourism. Beautiful piece of land. Imagine like Fort Jesus, but smaller, like 7-10 times smaller, but beautiful piece of land next to the beach. And this lady from the Netherlands and this guy, these 2 Dutch people, lady and guy, want to use this old building to start a college of ecotourism in a place called Cabeceira Grande next to Ilha de Mozambique, the island of Mozambique, which is not too far from Pemba. The reason I'm saying that is I wasn't too far from home, but I was the farthest I've ever been, right? Because geographically it's just there. But this is the middle of nowhere. That experience in Mozambique, where if you guys have ever watched a show called Survivor Series, you know, that experience in Mozambique, we got there as 14 people. By the end of the first week, the Finnish mama had left, one Swiss guy had left. We just kept dwindling in numbers. And the point I'm trying to make is, as you go through this story, there are going to be things that are not going to work. Like just complete disaster. You know, that sent us pictures. I think someone had taken pictures of a room Serena, Mombasa, and said, those are the rooms you'll be staying in. And then when we got there, we found the villagers putting palm leaves on the roof. And we joined them. And we were like, oh, this is so good. Like, you know, we're AIESECers, we're doing work for the community. And we're like, who are we helping with this project of putting a roof over their heads? It's so noble. Like, this roof is for you guys. For us. And then it rained. And then the snakes, like, it was crazy. It was crazy. Like, there are no toilets, there's no water. The snakes. And the cool thing about the snakes is, like, there was this one guy I remember called Adamji. His job was just to kill snakes, and then we eat them. Because you can't eat fish every day. It was an experience, but as you go through this thing, things will happen. And again, it's what side of things do you look at, right? Stunge would know that I've come from a journey, you know, a journey of recovering from alcohol. It's been years I've been sober. But someone says, "Hey, Reuben, your life has really changed." I'm like, nah, man, my life has not changed at all. The shit that used to happen still happens, right? That's Mozambique. The shit that used to happen still happens. It's just how you look at it. It's just how you perceive what happens to you. It's different. So you want to look at it and cry? The world won't wait for you to finish crying, right? You want to look at it and say, all right, something happened here. I'm in it. Am I going to go through it, go over it, or grow through it? And 9 times out of 10, if you decide to grow through it, a bigger adventure is waiting for you up there. Right? Just after that, a bigger adventure is waiting. And so that was that. Then I came back home, and my dad said, "Look, you need to get a real job. And I did. Applied for a Bienamro global coordinator, and I've been here now for 15 years. To summarize is to say, I love AIESEC. I love AIESEC in ways that Stunge, you were there. Right? My wife passed away last year. And the way AIESEC came through, my God. Like, my dad, you see, after Campo, Smear bounced. I bounced. And the whole AIESEC thing disturbing him for this or the other, he really never experienced the people, right? Until these guys just come back and say, Reuben, you chill, right? You just talk to your pastor. That's why this guy was so important for me, that the guys who officiated the funeral. You just talk to your pastor. Everything else, we got you. Everything. Right? And for you to have such a solid group of people who love you truly, right? Who know where you've come from, and who share this thing of we can be driven by a purpose to something that's bigger than what we've ever imagined. You know, it's something beautiful. I love AIESEC so much, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to even just chill on a Sato and just vibe. For me, it's also therapeutic to remember, you know. It's therapeutic to know that there's a bunch of guys who had nothing better to do than to listen to an old guy just giving his rubbish war stories. You know what I mean? But to be fair, I started with AIESEC, right? I started with AIESEC. I think I was a prefect in Westlands Primary, but in terms of, and I say that because of leadership and that kind of thing, but in terms of leading people, understanding situations, and understanding that I don't understand anything unless I have the right group of people to look at things from different perspectives. AIESEC was the key that opened that thing. And I remember going for dinner and thinking, man, that guy, Polycarp, Dikomondi, all these guys, Marian Mwaura, and thinking, oh my God, look at those guys, they're so awesome, right? And years later, they tell me there's guys we looked at who said, just keep at it. I don't know, I'm sure one day soon, Teresa's gonna tell me what's going on, but keep at it. The brand is still strong. 75 years of this thing is no joke, right? Brand is strong, the people are strong, and we're here, right? We're here. I've seen Stunge, I've seen Mo, I've seen Stella, We're not here because we're looking for someone. Nah, we're here because we love this association. So thanks for letting me share with you guys. Thanks for listening, and Asante San. That's it from me.